Okay, now I'm getting into these real obscure matters. Feels natural to do that in obscure environments, in more or less darkness. There have been some real weird stuff happening. You know, having reached this honorable age of mine, almost half a century living in one specific brain, one specific body, and actually the same world all this time, being more or less myself, whatever that is supposed to mean. You should really have gotten to know yourself pretty well, right? Most people are supposed to have a fairly good idea by then. So, I mean, it's based upon what people say, how people react. You meet people who like you, people who like you not so much, and also you have a reasonably good idea about how you think and how you feel and all such and those reactions you get from others when people who like you and people who like you not that much seem to have made some general observations that most of them would actually agree upon. You're good at doing certain things and not so good at some other things. And like I guess most people are more or less aware, and they do the best to use the good sides for handling the not so good sides. Nothing strange so far. Then suddenly, without any clear reason, people start acting oddly. Meeting in a approaching in a totally different way, and you notice too that whenever bringing certain subjects up, no apparent logic in this, but what specific subjects they like go blank. It's really weird because I don't know if this is how common this is and when it's supposed to happen. I've only observed this with a few specific persons. So, forbidden subjects. It's not particular sensitive subjects or anything. It just zones out. Did you hear this? And you repeat what you just said. Huh? You really did not, probably not. And you repeat it once again and point out what you were saying. And this causes a sudden, very strong reaction of can look like deep disgust or hatred. It's not at all common. Like I said, I've only observed this a few times. But if you don't insist, if you don't keep repeating the question, it's like they never heard you saying that forbidden thing. The second time, see some irritation, whatever, and then comes that strong reaction. And when it's confirmed, when the person has actually replied, then it has become real and dead serious, and may lead to some tension. And then you're supposed to understand that we don't bring this up again. And if you do, the same thing will happen. But you're supposed to understand that we forget this. You never said this, and this thing you were talking about never did happen. When suddenly this starts to appear more and more regularly, and for no apparent reason, you notice to people avoiding you. When trying to figure out what this may be about, the first thing naturally is it's something that I've done when you start trying to find out what happened last time you saw this person. Have you done something that's come this one to knowledge since we met last time? And nothing particular comes up, and it starts to happen more and more. And then also you notice that in all kinds of contact with society and institutions of any kind, they seem to have some kind of pre-understanding of you that people usually do not have. And then you notice too some patterns into this. This underlying tone of blaming, criticism. It's very clearly connected to specific things, actually, that you first did not notice. It happens to be specifically all those things that you have some that you're drawn to, as like things you're interested in, and it may be things that you are supposed to be good at, things that those specific things that people usually notice and observe and actually mention when they give you some kind of feedback. Suddenly all those areas of life has become huge problems, and any sane person will probably draw some specific conclusions from this. I am getting insane. This can't be, because there's no common factor among those people except yourself. I mean, in that sense that you're meeting all these people. Where does this come from, this attitude? There's no other common factor, so it really must be something that I've done. But why haven't I done this before? And exactly what is suddenly so problematic about these things? And I must say, this creepy thing became so, to that degree, bothersome and creepy that I needed to check with a psychologist. What does this mean? What does it stand for? What is happening into me that makes this happening? And I said, because in a way that would be a comfort, would be a first step towards changing things. Says what you obviously hope for, that this is something within me, and it can be in some way corrected. But this guy has said that it's really nothing strange about this, and it's really not anything inside you. It's rather natural and well documented human behaviors, social behaviors, group behaviors, and that thing about same weird stuff occurring in so many different situations. How the hell can that be? And he had his explanation to this too. And I had been into some of these thinkings too, as people sense things. If you're in some way weakened or feel insecure, if you are picking things up and that you're reacting to that, they more or less subconsciously will reply to this. And if they have some kind of mean streaks, they will perhaps try and make some use for it, or getting, if it's only a feeling of power or whatever. So, and the more things happen, the more on your guard you will probably be, which people will also pick up. If you go looking down, if you stop seeking contact more than necessarily. And we kept on talking a few times after that first occasion, because there were quite a few things that I would felt that I need to get some kind of opinion about. And he kept confirming what I had said that first time. There's really nothing strange. And typically he had no idea whatsoever how to bring an end to this. But he jokingly commented on some of the things I said. It sounds like conspiracy. No, you don't mean that. Because that's the very reason why you think you're going insane. It's kind of nightmarish. You don't expect those kind of things happen in reality, especially if you're not exactly drawn to this conspiracy thinking. I don't know about people in general, but it sounds like the first natural reaction to things like this is to seek some kind of explanation, and becoming, it's just some kind of dementia, physical sickness, whatever. There's change in my personality or something. And those few that have met me before will, of course, confirm that they can't observe any difference whatsoever in my behavior patterns or something. Yet everyone, every new person you get to meet seems to have a very strange idea about what kind of person you are. And this has been defining my entire life for some 2.5 years. More and more too. And more this weird thing that people won't reply to anything you say. And you think you notice some suspiciousness, and first times you may ask about, what are you thinking? You think I'm, whatever. No, not at all. And if they actually say anything, it's always very neutral, and it's just that it always turns out that this person has always been thinking something completely different. It appears that when this person has discussed the matter with someone else, it's been in terms of some great problem that's not at all defined, only that great problem that he doesn't seem to be aware of. And no one will ever tell you. It's like you're supposed to put words on it yourself, guess until you guess the proper thing, that what they actually don't really have in mind, but what they suspect is just a feeling, a suspicion, and that they hope to get confirmed. And this is one of the weird paradoxes into this, that very often the target of this kind of speculating and imagining becomes the one actually putting words to the problem by guessing. And then if you try to say, okay, because you're only interested in knowing what they seem to be thinking, but that moment when you have spoken it out, it suddenly becomes truth, and it breeds then like a fucking prairie fire. This was kind of introduction to this story, and I'll return and perhaps specify a little better, but there are actually reasons to why I don't want to, because it's then things become so very trivial, because just making one example, and so you had an overreaction to this particular thing. For that reason, I prefer speaking in rather general terms to start with, at least. And until next, so just fuck yourself to hell.